Good afternoon and welcome to Markets Today. I'm your host, Mbithe Mwema. Today is a very exciting day. We are out of our usual studio. We are in the streets trying to understand what is the evolution of the pension industry and what is happening to your pension contributions if you are contributing. And if you are not contributing, we will be seeking to give you insights in as far as how you can be part of this retirement planning for your future and as well as creating wealth for yourself and what products are out there to help facilitate this for you. As we mentioned earlier, we are on the streets and we are joined by Mr. Fred Waswa, who is the CEO of Octagon. Welcome to the show, Mr. Waswa.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations on your strategic and global partnership with Alexander Forbes.
Thank you very much.
We are very keen to hear about Octagon. But before we delve into Octagon as a company and the history and evolution of this company, you are a captain of industry and you have been in this industry for 20 years. Help us understand, when we talk about pension and pension industry, what does that mean in the context of Kenya?
Okay. Pension industry, I actually have been here for 30 years in the retirement benefits industry.
Okay.
When we started the industry in terms of a formal industry, when the Retirement Benefits Authority was set up in 2001, the assets under management in the whole country was about 110 billion in assets.
Okay.
Before then, there wasn't a proper organization of retirement benefits industry. The only regulator was the KRA, and KRA will only look for tax. That is it.
Yes.
But RBA came in to put some rules on how people can be able to save and to ring-fence members' funds by providing a governance structure. That only increased the savings. And we have now, over the last 20 years, we're now doing 1.3 trillion.
1.3 trillion
yes.
from 100
from
billion
100
in
billion
30 years.
In 20 years actually.
Okay, in 20 years.
In 20 years, yes.
Is that a good trajectory based on your experience, or could we do better?
Well, I know we could do better.
Yes.
But if you compare with other African countries,
okay,
we are far much ahead. Okay. I know that we still have a lot more. Currently, we have 22%. Some Tuka has simply said just recently, and says we are now 22% in terms of savings. You know, the coverage. We can actually do better. We should do something like about 28 to 30% in terms of coverage, as he has mentioned. But 22%, not too bad. But what we need to do right now is to focus on areas that we have not focused on. Right. This 22% is majorly white-collar jobs.
Okay, so the people who are employed, 8 to 5.
8 to 5, they get a paycheck, the paycheck is deducted, and the money goes, they don't know where the money goes. So those are 90%, 22%. You get it? So we need to move into an area which basically drives this economy of this country, which is the small medium enterprises, the informal sector.
Informal sector, the backbone.
That's right, the backbone of the economy of this country. That's where money is. That's where money flows. If you look at companies like Safaricom, that's where they have made more money. You get it? So what we need to do is to go that direction and help those people that are having money which they think they don't have. You know, they are making 1,000 shillings a day, 500 shillings a day. They are making 2,000 shillings a day. These people can actually save for retirement.
How do they do that? And why is it that you have the market has not tapped into the informal sector? Now,
traditionally, what we have done, all of us, of course, maybe it's also because from 2000, there was the element of rolling out the regulations for the retirement benefits industry. And RBA was more focused on cleaning up the schemes that have not been doing very well, on getting governance structure to be in place, which is now good, on getting trustees to understand what their roles are, so that when you have a person who's a trustee, it's not that you're going to eat, you're going to take care as a fiduciary responsibility. So what now we are focusing on is asking ourselves, what are the products that fit this very particular informal sector? Yeah, they're not the normal.
It's not the normal
vanilla kind of products. So that's why we are developing products. You know, as I mentioned to you earlier, Mobikesa, to be able to help. Yes, to be able to help people.
What is Mobikesa?
Mobikesa is a product developed by Octagon Africa. And what it does is that anybody out there can actually log on, can actually download the app just go to the App Store or yes, yeah, and then do more because you'll have it comes and you download it. Once you download, you have an app and you start registering. You go through the level of registrations and you have nomination of beneficiary forms. You have every level of registration. Once you go through, it asks you how much do you want to contribute, how often. You get it. Once you say I want to contribute per week 500 shillings, then every week it will remind you that you need to contribute 100 shillings per week.
Will I be penalized if I do not make my weekly contribution?
Nothing like that.
Thankfully, I can breathe.
You can actually, the beauty about retirement savings for informal sector,
Yes.
you can start, stop,
Yes.
you can increase, reduce.
Yes.
It's very flexible.
Okay.
So it helps somebody to save within their means and within their ability. You get it. So I think my thinking is that these are products that our informal sector out there should pick it up.
Should pick up
Our dual people
Yes.
should pick it up. Because it doesn't mean when you're only saving for the retirement which will come 50 years ago, 20 years ago, but even also you are able to access part of this money in the event you have a fallback position, so that you're able to do what you need to do. But two, also, it comes along with a life insurance.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us more about this life insurance.
More because it comes along with the life insurance. That in the event something has happened to you or your dependent has passed on, we can be able to provide a last expense. Yeah. So the amount you save.
Yes.
Part of it goes towards buying a last expense. Yes, a last expense. So that you don't use your business money to be able to sort out an issue that should have been sorted out by insurance. That's why insurance is there for us. Yes. So we can be able to run our business while we are helping you to be able to do what you need to do. Yes.
I'm very excited. I will certainly look out for that product.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that we keep hearing, is it that people don't understand why they need to save for retirement? Is it that information is not there? And if that's the case, what's the one thing that you'd tell anybody in the informal sector? Number one, you need to put money aside. Why should I put money aside? And secondly, if I put money aside, will it be there? Because we've had instances of people who put money aside and they did not get it. So why should I actually go and download Mobikeza? How does it fit into my own plans for enhancing my financial well-being?
Absolutely. Now, I think the most critical bit about savings, especially also for pension, is the fact that you will either retire or die.
Okay.
Those two things are what happen.
Sure.
Yes. So if you are in an informal sector, you are having your dual carry business, or you are a consultant, who is doing his own consultancy businesses, or you are the young people who are getting in the IT sector. They are working nowhere. They're working in the houses on the platform. They are working for US. They're working for UK. That is the kind of group we're looking for. Now the thing is that there's going to be one time when you'll not be able to do that.
That's true.
You get it? When you get to the age of 60, when you get to the age of 70, the spirit will be wanting to do, but the body tells you, I'm done. Now when the body tells you, I'm done, the body does not say, I die. It simply tells you, can't rest. The challenge is that you cannot rest without money.
That's true. You're still eating.
You're still eating.
You're still drinking water.
Medical care.
Medical care is very
All right?
expensive.
Yes, and it's more expensive in retirement. Medical care is cheap when you are 25 to 30 to 40. But when you get to age 50 and 60 and 70,
Yes.
it's very expensive. Okay. So where will you get the money to provide for that? And that's why the concept of what you earn today, part of it must be kept aside for that time.
For your future
For your
self.
future self.
For your future self.
For your future
Okay.
self, yes.
I like that,
Yes.
that keeping money aside
That's
for
it.
your future
self.
All right.
Absolutely. Now the question is, how safe is my money?
Yes.
How safe is my
How safe
money?
is my money?
Yes. Let me tell you, the safest place you can save money in this country is in a retirement benefit scheme.
Is it? How
Yes.
so?
One is that the Retirement Benefits Authority has now put in place a structure where service providers, none of them can be related to other while providing a service. Okay. We as administrators and consultants for retirement benefit schemes, we cannot be able to touch your money. The money is handled by a custodian who is a bank.
Oh, wow.
And that custodian must be a bank registered by the Retirement Benefits Authority as a custodian. Okay. Then there is a fund manager who doesn't touch your money, but thinks and says, where do we invest? So those structures make sure that your money is very safe. Now somebody can ask, suppose the bank goes down because the money is in the bank. One is that the money is never sits in the bank. One is that it sits in the investments. Has bought shares, has bought bonds, has bought fixed deposits. So which means that it's spread. So if any one of those had challenges, you are able to have back your money. So the platform is very safe. Yeah. What RBA has done is that it has also raised a governance platform for trustees, because every trust must have trustees, and every trustee must go through certification, which means that you must go through a process to be able to be certified as a trustee.
You must understand what is
That's a good training program that you must pass as an exam.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I think another thing that I wanted to touch into, the rule of thumb has been put money aside for your future self.
Yes.
But in this generation that we are in, the technology that is happening, there's so many disruptions.
Yes.
And we've had people say that you're as good as your job for 3 years from today. In other words, retirement is happening much earlier.
Every other 3 years.
It's happening every 3 years. At times you might stay for a year or two.
Correct.
without work. How do you advise people then to put money aside in lieu of the fact that they might have retirement sessions in between their career,
Yes.
as opposed to waiting till when they're 60 when they need that money?
Correct. Now, people save. But when you have saved money, that's why the Retirement Benefits Authority allows you to access part of it.
Okay.
Intermediate for you to sort out those small things, because we expect that there's those changes in employment sometimes which are not expected. Yeah, so the RBA has allowed members to access part of the benefit to be able to do the things they want to do, but part of the benefit must be used for future.
So this is retirement. It's all about, you need the money more in your future.
Absolutely.
So here in between you can figure
out what you need to do.
Okay.
But you need the money there. And I always say that if you are 35 or you are 30 years old, you work in 3 years' time, you lose a job. You're not going to be in retirement from 35 or 33.
You'll still have something.
You figure out something to do.
You still have the energy to still work.
To do work, yes.
Okay, fair enough. Then there's always this thing that has been on my mind and played for a long time.
Yes.
We are seeing the government of Kenya moving into infrastructure bonds and lengthening the tenor of government paper. We did see a 25-year paper reopen a few weeks ago, and it came in at a rate of about 13.56%. And I sat with a friend of mine and we said, why can't I get to the place where I take my monthly pension and give it to the government directly? Because sometimes when you give it to the fund managers and you go and collect it, or the fund administrators, at the point of collection you find it's much less than you have been contributing. Is that a common problem, or are we overthinking?
No, you are overthinking. I think it's just the element of Kenyans believing that everybody who touches your money is getting part of that money and will not get it. Okay. But let me tell you one thing is this: the returns over the pension funds over the last 10 years, if you do an average 10 to 15 years, there's been about 18 to 20%
per year. Or for the duration?
On average. Because you see, what happens is the returns move because of the market movements.
Yes.
But there are years when the schemes make 28%. There are years when they make 5%. Yeah? The thing is that with you taking your own money and putting in a bond, one of the things you miss is a tax advantage.
Okay.
So because once the money comes to you from a salary, it has been taxed. But if the money comes from your salary goes to a pension scheme, it's not taxed. Okay, so you get a tax advantage. You get it. So you get your money and you put in a bond. Yes. The other challenge you have is what we call exposure to one asset.
If anything goes
wrong.
If anything goes wrong.
Our government could wake up in the morning and say they can't be able to pay a bond.
That's a good point.
Yes.
The final question from my end, when we're talking about the overall industry, we have seen RBA allocate ceilings to equities and to bonds, and recently to alternative investments. But for bonds and for equities, what has been the performance in the year 2019? What do you expect to be the outlook for the year 2020? And what are you telling your underlying clients that you're administering their assets for?
Okay. I think in 2019, the performance for the equity market has been very good. Yeah. Not necessarily what we used to see, where we used to see 35, 40%, but it is in double digit, which was quite a good return for the pension funds. The bond market also did quite well, in terms of bond. The valuations were quite good. Okay. The returns for 2019 are in the range of 12 to 15%, which is a good return. Yes. Yeah, it's slightly above inflation.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what you need for our retirement benefit because it's long-term assets. This year we are looking at a better market. Hopefully the stock market, I know it has slumped a bit. Yeah, but we think that it's going to pick up. Yeah, for purpose of course the other challenge we're also looking at is coronavirus. Hopefully we will be able to sort it out. Yes, because if that happens, then we also get affected on that. But every factor is held constant. This year is going to be a better year.
It's good to be a good year.
So,
I like
it's
that.
very
And
optimistic.
I like
Yes,
the
yes.
vigor in your eyes.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
Mr. Waswa,
yes.
we shall take a short break.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a quick overview of the pension industry. And more importantly, you need to put money aside for your future self. If your employer doesn't do it, you owe yourself a responsibility to take out an individual pension plan. And certainly, Octagon Africa is one of the partners that you can engage with to understand what you can do to plan for your future. We take a short break to look at the equity markets and see how the markets did close, what was happening in terms of investor sentiment. And when we come back, we will be taking now a deep dive to understand who is Octagon, where did they start, where are they going, and more specifically, what are the key products and or services that they can be able to offer you as you plan for your future self. Don't go anywhere, and as always, interact with us on our Metropole TV page, and that is on Twitter. Tell us whether you have any assets in this particular space. If not, is it something that you would consider following up on? We take a short break. See you in a few.